Yeah, because the thing is, with I think you said something about people complaining about workload. One thing I realized in all this undergrad is there will never, ever, ever be enough time, ever. Not especially not in an engineering degree. There will never be enough time. Like there's always gonna be tons of modules, gonna be a lot of modules, a lot of work. So the trick is, in as much as I designed a timetable at the beginning of the semester, I'm like, yeah, this is the timetable. I'm gonna be doing this on this day, this on this day, this on this day. You know, good student vibes. We create those timetables. But one thing I know for sure is that by 3 weeks into the semester, that timetable is definitely gonna be completely different and rearranged and very, very messed up. But then that's not a bad thing. The good thing is I started somewhere thinking this is how it's gonna go, but then to now readapt it to how it should be.
Okay, this is it. This is the Student Plug, where we actually talk everything student support and development. I was about to say Kabaribe Baba, fire! Because as you speak...
I think that's caused by, when you're from home, your parents will just tell you, "Hope varsity, you shouldn't do anything else. Buga fail, so that
100%. No, you can really excel. Everyone can do it. It's not about how smart you are. Get the right plans in place, and there's no reason why you shouldn't leave record time, finish your course.
Yeah. Now you've done, physics, obviously, and all of those things. And these are courses that are perceived to be very difficult, super difficult. And what were your study techniques and your study strategies in all of these things? Students always complain about the workload is too much and everything like that. And I can imagine with physics, I know a lot of people who do physics and they're always complaining and stuff. How did you go about it? Like, what is your study skills? Study techniques and strategies.
I think everybody has their studying style. The first thing to establish when you get in from their first year is to establish what yours is. Yeah, I think that's the number one rule. First year is for you to explore where you fit in generally when it comes to studying. I feel like that's the basis of that year, to be honest. Because after that year, then you have to use it. You have to now do mass production, because they just throw about 13 courses at you, and you need to adapt what you learned in first year to those courses. Otherwise, then it becomes super hard. But I have a particular study principle, if I want to put it that way. I think I look at every course and develop a particular study for that particular set of course. I don't know if that helps anybody, but that's me. I don't have a certain, I can say I do this. No, I actually don't. Yeah, I don't, unfortunately. But yeah, I think if anything, it's first year trying out study techniques that other people are doing, or maybe what you've been doing in high school, switching if it doesn't work. Yeah, but then mainly what I do know that I do is attend lectures. I attend lectures. I think when I came to university, a lot of people be like, do you want to attend lectures? I attend lectures. I feel like attend lectures are very important in giving. Oh my goodness. Can you still see me clearly and hear me clearly? Because I feel
I can. Breaking. I can.
Okay. If you can, then it's all right. So I was saying, a lot of people would not attend classes, and I feel that attending lectures is very important to my studying, because it establishes where you need to focus, especially the lecture establishes where we need to focus more, or where more understanding needs to be applied. And there's some understanding that you can't just get from simply reading, but attending lectures can definitely give you that. Not something that I'm really good at, but I do feel that pre-reading lecture material before lectures, it's good. Not always doable, but it's good. It does help you when it comes to understanding in the lecture. I'm not the person who takes notes, so I can't comment on note taking in classes. I'm the person who goes, just watches you and leave. So yeah, I think that's always been me.
You must have a very powerful photographic memory then. I mean, like going to a physics class and not taking notes. Really?
Yeah, guys. Yeah, because like they already have the lecture slides somewhere on the lecture slides, or like I think the only class where I was forced to take notes is they weren't giving us any lecture material, so I didn't have a choice. But if you're gonna give me the lecture material afterwards, I am really just gonna come and watch you, listen, and then leave. Yeah, that was definitely me out of undergrad.
I like that, because then we also need to talk about, the effective way of attending lectures. And then one thing I know about these things is that everything is relative. What works for you maybe might not work for the other person. You don't take notes. Someone might be, thinking that if you're taking notes, it's actually what works for them because it makes them to connect and all of those type of things. But then you also have people who say, when I'm in the lecture, I don't hear anything. I got confused even more. Then what would you say to someone like that who says like, I go, but I just get confused? Is pre-reading perhaps the solution?
Yeah, pre-reading could help with that. But I think another thing is what you're getting confused at. It's a matter of when you get confused, it means that you need to supplement what you're hearing in the lecture with textbook. Pre-read, attend lecture. If you're still confused, then now go straight to the textbook, because textbook give more in depth to what the lecturer was saying. Perhaps they could clarify your question where you're getting it wrong. But then also asking questions does help as well in the lecture, which a lot of people might not be keen on. But I feel that if you go attend lecture, still textbook, and you're still confused, write them an email, and the most really will be happy to clarify where you don't understand.
Mm-hmm. And I also like what you said when you said that you don't really have some sort of a strategy, but it seems like you look at every course and try to develop a strategy for that course, right?
Yeah, because the thing is, with I think you said something about people complaining about workload. One thing I realized in all this undergrad is there will never, ever, ever be enough time, ever. Not, especially not in an engineering degree. There will never be enough time. Like there's always gonna be tons of modules, gonna be a lot of modules, a lot of work. So the trick is, in as much as I designed a timetable at the beginning of the semester, I'm like, yeah, this is the timetable. I'm gonna be doing this on this day, this on this day, this on this day. Good student vibes. We create those timetables. But one thing I know for sure is that by 3 weeks into the semester, that timetable is definitely gonna be completely different and rearranged and very, very messed up. But then that's not a bad thing. The good thing is I started somewhere thinking this is how it's gonna go, but then to now readapt it to how it should be, based on how you find, okay, this is very difficult for me. 3 weeks into the course, you need to establish what is very difficult for you to do, what is easy for you to do, and how then you should allocate time and study methods, because there's never going to be enough time. There's never going to be. And even the submissions, especially the submissions, you must definitely watch out for submission week, because submission and test week are definitely going to get you if you don't pre-plan your timetable ahead of time.
So it's evolve as you go.
It's definitely an evolve as you go situation. It definitely is.
Yeah.
Definitely is. Yeah, but
because I know you're a poet. I was about to say you metamorphose as you go. You know how you poets, you just hit things in words, like it's like, wow. Why don't you just say change? But someone will just say metamorphose because it sounds poetic.
I don't think it's a matter of sounding. It's a matter of the depth of which you're going to relate to that particular word.
Oh yeah.
It needs to settle in a particular way. And if I just said change, perhaps I wouldn't have done justice to it.
And poetry, how does poetry come about with you? I never thought, or I never linked you to poetry. I would link you to, probably things that would be like nerdy, like calculations or like, those type of things. I would never link you to poetry. How did it come about?
I think poetry is a nerdy thing. I don't know. Writing is a nerd thing, to be honest, because if you do check a lot of others in history, if anything, are scientists as well. Like you get, okay, my favorite, Richard Feynman, he wrote a lot, and I think it's also, scientists are very much artistic because with Feynman in particular, people would come from all over the world just to listen to him lecture about physics. Then you really need to be an artist at lecturing for someone to be traveling all the people all over different cultures to just come to listen to you talk about physics, which is supposedly a net thing. So I would say that, in the depth of every scientist, there's definitely an artist there. But with me, my journey started in high school when, grade 9, is it grade 9 or grade 10, where they said, when they introduced Shakespeare. And I think one of the homeworks they gave us was like, you must go write a poem. I think that's where my poetry started. Then I started writing, also entered some couple of competitions. But I've always been someone who's like always keen on writing, because I also did English Olympiads in high school as well. The ones where the DPS one, where they give us an anthology of short stories you have to read, understand, and then you get tested on the knowledge, but then you also have to write creative writing essays as well based on the reading material you also got. I think I wrote that thing twice when I was in high school, in grade 11 and grade 12. Very beautiful. I enjoyed it very much. I also enjoyed debate. So I think I've always been that person who's been drawn to literature in all its aspects.
When you're talking now, and I'm starting to say this to myself. I was actually a poet as well in high school. I used to write a lot of stuff actually. There's a lot of things that when I tell people, they still don't believe. I was, I don't know. They just say it doesn't suit you. But I was so much into this spoken word. Spoken word. Hip hop, I was a rapper
I think some guy would at some point is definitely there. Every guy, there's always that generation.
Sure,
it definitely exists in our generation. Everybody wanted to be a rapper somehow, make money.
And when you say that, a lot of scientists or science people or science geeks, they are very artistic. I never thought about it, but now once you say that, I totally understand it, because I listen to a lot of hip hop, but not that hip hop that is very vulgar. And that is, for me, I don't think that is hip hop. That is just another thing. Maybe we can call it another thing. But depth hip hop, like hip hop that is done by people like your Nas, your Tupac, it's more like poetry, but poetry in motion, to a beat and stuff like that. And I feel like there are certain verses in this hip hop that you need to dig deeper, for you to actually understand. There's some sort of smartness in decoding a bar or decoding like a stanza, besides the English, but relating to seeing that correlation. It's just, I don't know, there is some smartness in that. And I think a lot of scientists that I know, they're even good with playing guitars, they're good with pianos and stuff like that, because there is some sort of patterns and they can mathematically relate to those.
Yeah, definitely. Even some of famous history people like painters or writers are actually scientists. So I definitely do feel like, if anything, it's only now in the 21st century where you get a lot of this big divide between the arts and the science, but then throughout history, it's something that's always been meshed. Somewhere it doesn't. Yeah.
So now, sometimes as students, we talk about this balance, balancing your academic life, balancing your social life. And then earlier on, when we talk about the quantized emotional spectrum, you spoke about, all of these things that were actually confronting you as a student, like, your student life, your your relationship life and everything like that, because those are the things that come with being a student. And sometimes we shy away from talking about these things. For example, relationships, there is a certain way of how they impact you, even as a student and everything like that. So what was the balance for you? How were you going about the balancing? Was poetry part of the balance?
I think poetry, is it really part of the balance? I don't think it's part of the balance. Poetry is, I'm one who likes to reflect on what I'm doing or on life in general. I don't like just going haphazardly into semester, then another semester, and then another year, and you still don't understand where we're going, where we're coming from. So it's more of like a reflection piece, because a lot of the pieces that I wrote, the experiences are like a year after. This is like a year after everything has happened, and I'm basically relating this whole situation of, hey, this was this, and actually late this last year, I was here, and this was this. It's flashback situations. Yeah, and people are like, you can't be serious. How do you write such pieces not in the moment, but in the past? And I'm like, that's how it is. That's how, I don't know, maybe my body reacts to things. When I'm in the moment, I'm there and I'm leaving it, and then I have time for reflection. But then, when it comes to balancing, I really do think that the relationships should, like in any aspect of life, should help you grow. So if things are not growing you, if you feel that you have 13 modules at the same time, when you divide all this time, there's no time left, but you're still trying to squeeze other things, it's not gonna work. You need to take up your bucket that's gonna weigh, you're gonna be able to finish. Yeah, definitely. I think it's a sacrifice at some point to say social life must stop, academics must come first. I think that's what I did. At least that's what I did. I was like, academics first. When academics get rough and there's no longer time, social life must legit. But I think there's other social aspects that students can take up that don't require much time. Like suit me. Like structure, guys. I love structure. I attended structure on my undergrad, and I felt like it was one social aspect of me, but then it also encompassed a religious part of me, and it was just a space where I wasn't much of an academic, but I was doing something else that was just refreshing my mind. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, then there's also other societies as well that people do. Like I did FBA, where I feel like my social part of it also, got satisfied there as well. So I do encourage people to get into societies. I think you don't have to attend every single event, but then that one single event, you meet people, you interact with people, and it can really just change the course of your life. You should definitely network on your university.
There was one student, actually, I think 2 days ago. I was walking around campus and I happened to bump into her. And she's doing first year. And then she was like to me that, okay, course is tough, it's rough and everything like that. In fact, before she came to varsity, she thought that she was going to have fun and all of those type of things. And then she says to me that I'm not even dating. I thought I was going to date. I thought I was going to find my, I don't know, my knight in shining armor.
Situation. Yeah, definitely understand where she's coming from. Yeah, I think the pandemic has really very much halted the social aspect of varsity, which is kind of sad. But I think with me, with this pandemic, my social aspect is when I feel overwhelmed, when I feel too tired, I take myself out. You know what? I'm going out alone. I'm going to watch a movie alone, or I'm going to go out to a restaurant and have lunch, just to have a change of environment. But I also feel like that change is necessary, and it also helps you refresh as well. Yeah, because making friends or trying to date during the pandemic is definitely another pandemic on its own.
Yeah.
And I feel like if you just focus on worrying about that, you're gonna.
And she was like to me that, like, how do you guys do this dating thing, like here in varsity? and because she's a woman, you know, and obviously as a woman, it's not like as a guy. I'm sure as a woman, like in your phone right now, there's some text, there's some people who are just like there, like, hey, I'm here, you know, those type of things. So then she was asking me all of this, and I don't think I don't have the answers, you know. So I'm posing this to you as a lady. Obviously, you've been through what she's going through and everything like that. How did you handle, you know, dating, and how did you make sure that this doesn't interfere with your course, with your because it's one of the things that I think as students we jump into it because we are so much looking forward for it, and somehow it actually end up affecting our studies and everything like that. From a lady's perspective, please.
I think I'm the worst person to ask that. I'm definitely the worst person to ask that question because okay. I think the last time I dated was in a relationship, was in first year. Yeah, I think I established very quick from first year to say relationships are legit a job and a half on their own. So after first year, I was like, when I got into second year and those 13 modules were thrown at me, I'm like, no, I definitely am not going to be able to juggle those two aspects together. But when I did date in first year, I had time. But I'm like, first year is time to establish how you can actually run through your varsity years, if one might say so. So it was nice, I guess. I don't know what you want me to say about that. But like, yeah, I think it was an experience that needed to happen at that point in time.
Yeah,
it definitely was. But I think with my biggest advice is if you can do it, but get your priorities straight. What are you here for and what do you want? I think that's where I would put anybody who's like that. I'm like, what precisely do you want when you say, and even if you say you want a relationship, what do you want from the relationship itself? And I think that makes your dating easier if you are actually what you think you can do dating and academics as well. It makes things easier. Pinpoint exactly what you want. Say, you know what, I want someone who's gonna do 1, 2, 3, or I want to do 1, 2, 3 in a relationship, or I want to, I don't know, see myself with this particular person, I don't know, to every detail, because it makes things, I don't know if it makes things easier or it makes things harder, but it definitely helps you clear out a lot of things, and those 10,000 guys sliding into your DMs, yeah, it definitely does get rid of that aspect.
We're gonna get into. I would like to hear your advice to students, but that will be when we finish this.